A lot of you ask me how effective meditation really is, why I meditate, or if meditation even does something. And before I can answer all your questions and explain what meditation is, let me explain what goes on in your brain. At the root of all thoughts, emotion, and behavior is the communication of the neurons within our brains. In the communication, this electrical activity is displayed in form of brain waves because our brain operates on a range of brainwave patterns, and these patterns are produced by synchronized electrical pulses from masses of neurons working with each other, making these brainwave patterns, and each pattern establishes a particular state of consciousness. So think of brainwave pattern like a continuous spectrum of consciousness from slow, loud, and functional to fast, subtle, and complex. When the slower waves are dominant, that's when we feel tired, sluggish, and kind of just out of it. And when the higher frequencies are dominant, that's when we feel wired and hyper alert. Also, brainwave speed is measured in hertz, which is cycles per second, and they're categorized in bands of slow, moderate, and fast waves. We got the beta brainwaves, alpha, theta, and delta brainwaves. In terms of amplitude, the slower the frequency of the brainwave, the greater its amplitude is going to be. When the brain is aroused, that's the beta brain waves. When you're like actively engaged in mental activities, like right now, me talking to the camera, I'm probably in my beta state right now. Like, you know that bitch always like raising her hand to ask questions in class? That's the beta state. Or someone giving a talk show or a speech, or even like being involved in a debate, that's the beta state. And they're also divided into 3 parts. We have low beta, which is like you're not in the resting state yet, but your brain isn't really aroused, so it's kind of in between. Think of like a fast idle or musing. The second one is beta 2, which is like medium beta. Think of like high engagement and actively trying to figure something out. The third one is high beta, stands for highly complex thoughts. When you have high anxiety or high excitement. Alpha is the power of the now, being in the present moment. When I said beta brainwave is for arousal, alpha is for non-arousal, when the brain is like calm. Let's say you're like taking time out of a task and now you're just resting, even meditating, that's being in the alpha state. And alpha brainwaves really aid with body-mind integration and mental coordination and calmness. That's when you're taking time off a task and you're just escaping in a daydream. Like, you know, when you're at school, in class, and you're bored and you're zoning out or just daydreaming, that's being the theta brainwaves. When I play the ukulele, I always just daydream when something just becomes automatic and like repetitive, that your mind just has its own little adventure in space. You feel? That's basically when you're falling asleep, and the frequency ranges from 1.5 to 4 cycles per second, and it'll never go down to 0 because 0 means like you're brain dead, and obviously when you go to sleep, you're not brain dead.
Oh, hold up.
I forgot to mention one, probably the most important one, with the gamma waves. And the gamma waves are the fastest. Forget about the beta waves, okay? I said the beta waves were the fastest, but it's actually the gamma waves. They range from 40 to 100 hertz when you have ecstatic peak experiences. Also, researchers have found that a great presence of gamma waves are related to universal love and spiritual experiences. They're above the frequency of neuronal firing, so it's still a mystery how it's been generated. When you have a spiritual awakening, you'll know. You just feel interconnected with life, basically. Also, if one brainwave is predominating the other one, let's say you're in the beta state right now, the remaining other brainwaves are still present in the mix of the brainwave patterns. Like I said, delta was for falling asleep, but when you're waking up from deep sleep, your brainwaves will kind of go in order. So it'll go from delta to theta, and then theta to alpha, and as soon as the alarm goes off, I'll go from alpha to beta. And if you're like hitting the snooze button, you're like not trying to get up, I'll go from beta to alpha and then alpha to theta. And if you're actually falling asleep, we'll go from theta to delta. I talked about all these types of brainwaves, but Tina, what's the link between the brainwaves and meditation? Your brainwaves can be imbalanced, and if they're imbalanced, you'll have problems in your emotional and neurophysical health. That's when meditation comes in the game, because by meditating, you just balance your brainwaves, also yoga. If you're always anxious or you have sleep problems, nightmare, you're always impulsive, you have anger issues, then that's a sign that your brain is over aroused. If you're someone who's always depressed, kind of just zoning out, have attention deficit, insomnia, that means that your brain is under aroused. Any process that changes your perception will change your brain waves, and traditional Eastern practices such as meditation and yoga would be used to just alter the brain waves. I also do brainwave entrainment, which is a combination of binaural beats and isochronic tones. If you don't know what binaural beats are, it's just a pure tone of a sine wave in the left ear and another sine wave in the right ear, and it kind of causes this auditory illusion. And isochronic tones, they're just a pure tones that turns on and off really rapidly. Brainwave entrainment facilitates a change in brain waves, and also it has this like therapeutic effect. So there's the 4 types of brain waves: beta, alpha, theta, and delta, and of course gamma, so 5 in total. The goal of these programs is to induce a particular state of consciousness by entraining the brain to the frequencies of these sounds. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. My name is Tina and this is Tina's World. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and comment down below.